Right. Let's play our little intro.
I've been all in my bag, you been all in my business. You be all in your feelings. I've been all in them trenches. I've been all in my bag.
Hey guys, I'm Sai, and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of Keepin It Real, which is our wrestling series. And I'm very excited to link back up with my friend Andrew Thompson to talk all sorts of wrestling, fit as much stuff as we can into about 40 minutes to an hour, see how we go today. But fresh off TakeOver last week, we're recording this couple of hours before the Wednesday Night Wars, so that'll be why we're not talking about those shows, but we've got plenty to talk about anyway. But as usual, guys, you can watch the video versions of this show and all our other shows, youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Please subscribe, click the bell for notifications. We do podcasts on all sorts of subjects, from wrestling, soccer, mental health, MMA, boxing, and exclusive interviews with actors, musicians, bands, doctors, whatever you can think of. We probably interviewed someone on that subject. We like to have expert analysts as well, audio versions, all the usual podcasting platforms. And of course, I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who watches all the different shows on YouTube, as we surpassed 250,000 views last week for the channel overall, which was a big milestone for a little independent channel run by myself with the help of some friends. But a big thank you to everyone who's ever viewed or liked anything we do. And of course, speaking of friends, I'm delighted to welcome back. He is Post Wrestling's writer, interviewer, got his own YouTube channel, which is incredible, and interviewing all sorts of wrestling personalities. It is the GOAT, the legend that is Mr. Andrew Thompson. How goes it, my friend?
The GOAT.
The GOAT.
So what's good, Si? How you feeling? My Cardiff Wills brother.
I am good, mate. I'm real, so weird.
I'm surprised you ain't called me a Yank yet, through how many times as we did this podcast.
Nah, that's trashy.
Is that like a disrespectful term, like for an American? I never, I thought it was a joke type thing.
It's like I think sometimes Americans call English people like limeys or something.
The fuck is that?
It's that, yeah, I've seen it in films like Home Alone and stuff. I think they call them limeys and stuff. I don't think it's a particularly
offensive. Yeah,
it's not offensive, but I don't think it's also like a nice, I don't know. It just is what it is. Just like a slang term, I guess. But your question was how I was doing. I'm doing pretty well, mate, because like I mentioned there in the intro, we went past 250,000 views, for the channel overall.
Hey.
The other day, mate. It's so wild to me, because obviously, as you know, I started the channel initially just as a way to scratch an itch. I wanted to do podcasting, YouTube or something like that, but also it was to help my mental health, because my physical health was making things difficult, and it's just kind of grown and it's keep growing, and the struggle to get to 1,000 subscribers was real. It took so long, and it was sometimes, some days I would really get down on it, and I'd be like, oh, it's never gonna happen. And then we hit 1,000, I think, just before Christmas, and we're already well through the 2,000. That second 1,000 has come real quick, and a big part of that is people like yourself who give up their time to join me on a weekly or bi-weekly kind of thing and talk different subjects. And you are definitely a big part of that, my friend. I'll have to count up how many episodes of Keepin It Real we've done, so we can keep track, because I'm not sure. We must have done about 50 by now, I reckon. But how are you, my friend, anyway?
I'm doing good, man. That's what I think I remember when you started the channel.
Yeah.
I remember when you first started, so it's been real cool to see the progression, and you venturing off and the other stuff. I always think that's always been a cool thing to see. So congratulations on all your success, good sir. Well deserved. One of the coolest dudes I know. I never in my wildest dreams thought I would be friends with somebody from Cardiff. You couldn't have told 12-year-old me that, but this is
Yeah, yeah.
crazy. So yeah, you're a good man, Si. All the success deserved, well deserved, and yeah, can't wait to do many more.
Indeed, my friend. Yeah, it's wild. Like one of them. Obviously, when I first started the channel, it was just I was just interviewing different people from different things, like football players or journalists, and just there wasn't really like any series or stuff like that. It was just me interviewing people, and I think you were one of the early people I interviewed, just talking about like how you got into writing about wrestling, and how you think you were at Fightful at the time, and just kind of progressed from there. And then obviously we got chit chatting, and away we go, and then we ended up with this Keeping It Real, and I like it, mate, because it's different to no other podcasts about wrestling. You know, there's so many. Look, there's so many podcasts in the world about all different sorts of subjects. The wrestling podcast world is full of good podcasts as well. There's some bad ones, but there's some very, very good podcasts. And I like to think we do things a little bit different because we try and vary up. We just fly through as much as we can in a 40 minutes to an hour, and just keep it short and sweet and go. We did a couple of long ones in the early days, mate, when we used to go match by match. But I think since we changed the layout of it, it's a bit more digestible, and that like we did a couple which were like 2 hours, and I enjoyed them. They were always good fun, but like that's a lot of time for us and for the listener and the viewer to get through, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a long time. I kind of like the shorter formats. I think it's just easy for people to digest.
Yeah, man, 100%. I think we'll start with TakeOver, mate, from Sunday. First and foremost, what did you think of the show overall?
It's the best takeover of the pandemic era.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think we definitely agree on that. And I think you can't criticize NXT too much for that. I think it's very difficult for them in the pandemic era when it comes to takeovers, because the crowd is such a big part of NXT. So like with the pandemic and stuff, like AEW was still quite new, so it had that freshness and where people wanted to see where it was going to go, who was going to turn up and stuff. Whereas NXT was very established, and it was also established, like the Full Sail crowd and stuff was a big part of it, especially on like those takeover nights at the various different arenas and stuff. They were so special with the crowd. They didn't feel the same in the pandemic era, and I thought this was the first one. This was the first takeover in the pandemic era which I genuinely enjoyed every second of. Like, even the pre-show, I don't watch the pre-shows, and for NXT, I don't really watch the main roster ones either, because they just too much talking. But even the pre-show, you had Eli Drake turned up, which I think is a real good signing for NXT. I was a bit surprised that they only kind of brought him out in the pre-show. Like, a part of me thought they bring him out in the pre-show to get people talking, and then he would do something later on in the night. Like, I was almost expecting him to attack Finn Balor or something at the end of the show. But, we got to start with Undisputed Era. They're in tatters, mate.
Yeah, man. Undisputed Era looks like the split is underway. I'm glad Bobby Fish is a part of it, because he just ruins everything. So, I'm glad it's just Roddy, Adam, and Kyle O'Reilly. My only worry about this is, and I think other people have the same thing, is that the Undisputed Era gets called up to Raw, SmackDown. I don't think it's going to fare too well with them as individuals. I don't think it's going to work. I think Adam Cole has the highest chance of making some success. Like, but if they come in as a 4-man or 3-man, then it's it'll work out better. Like, I think Damian Priest is the best example, latest example that we've seen as far as the call up goes in the last 4 or 5 years. Like, this dude is like literally paired on screen with the biggest Latin artist in the world, and probably is going to be on WrestleMania, like on his first year as a part of the quote unquote main roster. Like, so I have somewhat hope that, that maybe they'll get something right with the Undisputed Era. They didn't do it right with Keith Lee. They kind of missed the mark with that, but they got Priest on the money. But yeah, with Undisputed Era, yeah, they broken up, man. I'm not gonna fight you over seeing an Adam Cole Kyle O'Reilly match.
No, no, no. I think my thought was that I thought they might not split them up before this because I thought Adam Cole looks like he was getting primed to go to Raw or SmackDown just by the way he's been booked lately. He hasn't done a great deal, a bit of tag team wrestling and stuff. So I assumed that they were going to kind of do this match, do this takeover, and then Undisputed Era were going to turn up on Raw or SmackDown. And it does make me a little bit sad that we won't see, at least in the short term, like on the Raw after Mania, like Undisputed Era turn up on Raw or SmackDown. Like, that's a bit sad because I think them as a group on Raw or SmackDown would be awesome. And like Adam Cole feels like he's almost can't miss on Raw or SmackDown because he's so good on the mic, he's good in the ring, he's got the look. But how we've said that before about many talent, and they've always kind of, or not always, but regularly dropped the ball. And they did it. The NXT is very clever. Like, they did the tease of Finn Balor joining Undisputed Era right up until Adam Cole finally super kicked him, and they've been teasing it since Finn Balor. The first night Finn Balor went to NXT, of course, they teased it, and they teased the Too Sweet, and they teased this, and then they've teased it a bit more recently, and then they all lined up together, and you're thinking, yep, here we go, and then Adam Cole super kicked Finn Balor, and everyone was like, oh no. And then I didn't expect him to super kick Kyle O'Reilly. So when he super kicked Finn Balor, I assumed they were going to do a couple of weeks of him and Kyle kind of, just having disjointed views on what should happen. But no, they went straight in and he super kicked Kyle O'Reilly. They're going to have an awesome feud. Do you think they have a short-term feud and then they kind of, once they've done the Kyle and Adam Cole feud, maybe Adam Cole goes up to Raw or SmackDown after Mania?
I could see something along the lines of maybe Adam Cole taking the NXT title off Finn Balor, and then they're doing the Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole match at WrestleMania Night 1.
Yeah, and Kyle O'Reilly wins the title from Adam Cole in like a big sort of babyface culmination, hard work, emotional moment type thing.
And then I know people don't like the the idea. See, the only thing I had with I know people don't really like the idea of like hot shotting the title around, but I think in this case it would make sense.
Yeah,
like maybe Adam Cole could beat Finn on night 1, and then him going against Kyle on night 2, or maybe they do it like a couple weeks before that, like they do the switch at the prior takeover if there is another takeover on the way. But yeah, man, I think they're in a good spot right now. And NXT, they might need to start trying to figure out who they're going to send to Raw, SmackDown, because they have the largest female class as far as Performance Center attendees coming up. That's about to get announced, the largest in history. They got Taya Valkyrie coming in. They got Eli Drake in there. They got Blake Christian in there. They got a lot of fucking people on that roster, man. So they definitely need to, figure out who's next to get called up.
Do you think though that Taya Valkyrie, she's going to go up straight up with John Morrison?
No, she's going to NXT.
Is she really? Now that surprises me, but also worries me a little bit because I think they're gonna take some people from NXT to the Raw and SmackDown between now and that week after Mania. Who do you think is primed from NXT to be moved to Raw and SmackDown, and which one would you send them to?
You could send Dakota and Reaal right now. You could have them just win the tag titles and then
stay there.
Yeah, and just stay there. Like I think they're ready. Like I think Dakota been ready. I think Reaal, like I think she could have got an NXT Women's title match, but I mean, like, what's the point? Like, I can't see anybody taking the title off EO right now. So like I think Reaal and Dakota. If I'm thinking about somebody else right now, I'm trying to think of who else on the roster I could see. Like, I think Karrion Kross, like I give him till the summer. Like, it's time, bro. It's time.
I think Vince McMahon, if they don't go with what we were just talking about with Kyle and Adam Cole for the NXT title, I could see Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross at WrestleMania Night 1 as like a mid-card NXT title match. I just think Vince McMahon gets one look at Karrion Kross, his intro, his entrance is with Scarlett and everything, and he'll be on Raw or SmackDown very quickly after that. And he should, let's be honest, he probably should be. I think Adam Cole probably will be on Raw or SmackDown before next summer.
Let's hope not.
I am devastated that they won't be going as a group. That's really bummed me out. However, I did see, and I want to put this question to you because I believe that it's horseshit, but I did see a couple of people on social media speculating that they might do like a kind of Undisputed Era like fake out sort of thing, and they haven't really broken up, and they're all going to turn on Finn Balor, and that's how they'll go to Adam Cole versus Finn Balor for the title. But like for me, if that was going to happen, you wouldn't have had Adam Cole super kick Kyle O'Reilly. You would have just had Kyle O'Reilly kind of play innocent, if you get me, and say like he didn't know, and you wouldn't have had him attack him, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. Like, just because they got into a little fisticuffs and he super kicked them, they don't mean necessarily the group's breaking up. They could always go the whole route of brothers fight, stuff like that. They maybe just need to get it out of their system and do the match and get it over with, and then they'll be back together. Like, I think that's just probably what it's gonna build to. Because I feel like Undisputed Era get more done as a group opposed to a singles.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
but even even as whoever their tag team is at the time, they feel more important as part of Undisputed Era than they do as just if you just had Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong as a tag, or Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish as just a tag team who weren't part of Undisputed Era. They feel so much bigger as part of that group. Do you know what I mean? So ultimately, I would like to think they'll find a way to keep that group together or get the group back together after this storyline, but I'm not confident because that felt like they're splitting them up because Adam Cole's going to the to Raw or SmackDown and the others are not, at least at the time being. But then I suppose you could do if Adam Cole goes up on his own, there's no reason why in a year's time, if he was feuding with whoever, like I don't know, I'm trying to think of the Hurt Business, and he was getting outnumbered. You could have the other three turn up. There's options, I suppose. What did you think of Kenta's debut? Oh, before that, actually, sorry. Were you as disappointed as me to see MSK defeat the Grizzled Young Veterans?
I was very happy.
Yeah, I love MSK. I was happy for them. The Grizzled Young Vets were my pick, and they failed at the last minute.
MSK got more momentum, bro. Like they the hot fresh team. Like that's how you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to wait until a year or 2 years in to decide, oh yeah, let me push this team. Like, bro, they literally came in last month and they about to get a shot at NXT tag titles and they should win. Like you already gave them the Dusty Cup. You might as well go all the way with them. Like they the fresh tag team. They got momentum. Bro, this is how you build people. Literally. Yeah. Just make them win. Just make them win. It's literally that simple. Like literally, bro, they have been in NXT for a month, and look how much momentum they have. They can easily win the tag titles. It's like literally that simple. Just put the titles on. You want to like fully cap this thing off? Put the titles on. Put the titles on them, bro. It's literally that simple.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I'd like to see if them go back to this feud with Grizzled Young Veterans over the titles once they've won it, because you could have Grizzled Young Veterans attack them, when they come out with the titles for the first time, and them be a bit jealous, and that I just think it's great. But friend of the channel, Alex McCarthy, works for TalkSport in the UK. Obviously, does a lot of wrestling stuff with podcasts and stuff. Exclusively reported yesterday that WWE have signed Millie McKenzie to a NXT UK brand. NXT UK signed a couple of people recently, but she's a good pickup for them.
Yeah, isn't Millie McKenzie? She like 20.
Yeah, she's 20, which is, to me, that is so young, mate. Like
they gonna get a lot of years out of Millie, a lot of years.
Yeah. Is it? Correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be wrong. Is she in a relationship with Pete Dunne, or am I wrong about that?
No.
No. Okay. I wasn't sure. I was wanted to just double check. But yeah, she's 20. Like for me, if I'm WWE,
they were just partners on the independent scene.
Right. Okay, that might be where I got it mixed up.
And they were doing the whole thing of like she was like the annoying little sister, and Pete Dunne was just like
okay.
tolerating her.
Yeah, got you. What did you think of Pete Dunne's performance against Finn Balor? Good match.
I think it was a good match. It was just like it was just different from the rest of the style that we saw on the show. Like everything else is kind of like fast paced, high action, and then that was just strictly in ring. I don't even think they left the ring, to be honest with you. Like it was a good hard hitting match, and I kind of like that style. Like I like that they doing something different opposed to everything else.
Don't want them all to be the same.
Bro, Finn Balor is in his bag right now.
Yeah, he's been sensational in his. I saw someone the other day saying they were being very underwhelmed by his NXT run. Like I think his NXT run has been phenomenal, and I think it's been even better since he's had the belt. Finn Balor, I think he's like 34, 35. I'll double check that now. My only worry for Pete Dunne is where you go with him next, because obviously he's not won the title. Oh, he's the same age as me, mate. Born in 1981. So that is 39.
There you go.
So just to point out that, yes, I do have a body exactly the same as Finn Balor's. As my 39, that's just normal for British and Irish 39-year-old men.
Boo.
What would you do with LA Knight or Eli Drake with regards to NXT? Obviously, his mic work is next level. Like, if you were going just on promo work, like he should be on their whatever they perceive to be their top brand, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. He should be up there, shouldn't he?
I think he can come out of the gate and just antagonize Johnny Gargano.
Yeah,
like right off the gate. Like, cause I mean, I'm not really like big on him in the ring. That's not saying he's like bad. Like I don't think he's bad in the ring at all. I think he's really good.
That's
like,
not where he makes his money, is it?
His mic skills is what talks people into the building. This is what.
Yeah.
That is what he does. We've seen it on NWA Power. Like the dude is like really great on the microphone. I can only imagine what he can do in an arena full of people. I hope he gets that chance. But yeah, man, he should definitely confront Gargano and just antagonize him for a little bit. Not necessarily jump into the title feud immediately, but just like start that little thing and then have him like get offset by like a Leon Ruff or a Kushida or somebody along that mid card line to kind of just get him started.
Yeah, I think building him towards that Gargano match is a good sort of start, and I think having him come in and antagonize everyone is kind of like a good thing, like especially because you haven't got the crowds there at the moment. I wouldn't necessarily, from his promo work initially before he wrestles, I wouldn't make him really heelish or really face. Like I would have him antagonize heels and faces, so you don't really know which direction he's going to go, and he's got the ability to rub people up the wrong way. I thought it was quite interesting that they teased a bit of a friction between him and Wade Barrett, because famously Vince McMahon doesn't like to tease feuds or things like that which he's never going to pay off, or you can't pay off. And I mean, technically on paper you can't pay that off because you
thought that was a tease?
Yeah, I did think that was a little bit.
I just thought he was disrespecting him, like he disrespected the other dude.
Yeah,
I think he would have disrespected Sam Roberts, but Sam Roberts did the smart thing, which was leave, which was what
he
did.
Okay. But it was more some of the looks that Wade Barrett was looking at, the way he was looking at him.
He's a worker, brother. That's what he does.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. Look, I don't think Wade Barrett's coming back, sadly, because I think Wade Barrett could have been one of the best British wrestlers in terms of being one of the biggest ever. He could have
been with Drew McIntyre now.
Yeah, man. He was just so unlucky with injuries. And booking early on when he first came in, he was hot when he was like the leader of Nexus, and even when they did that terrible storyline with CM Punk taking over Nexus, like Wade Barrett was quite hot as a babyface against CM Punk, and they kind of just never did it. But obviously they got the famous thing where Nexus should have beaten John Cena and blah, that's all history. But if we could get one little feud out of him, I would I'd be down for that. Little feud with Finn Balor.
My favorite version of Wade Barrett was when he had that theme song. And it was
Bad news.
It was like, God save our queen.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Was so great. What is that? The opening. What is that?
God Save the Queen is the English.
God Save the Queen. That's what it is.
God Save the Queen is the English national anthem. But there's also a famous song by the Sex Pistols called God Save the Queen, which is an awesome song. But I think they tried to make like a bit of a mashup. So the start of it is in like the tone or the jingle of the national anthem, like the rhyme of it, and then they tried to twist it into like a bit of a Sex Pistols rock rip off. But it was a good tune. I liked his Bad News gimmick, mate. I thought that was very good. He was good on the mic. I'll be watching Eli Drake with interest to see what he does, because I feel like when Vince sees some of those, if he cuts a few good promos, he's another one where you could see Vince seeing it and going, right, I want him on the main roster, because the one thing they do
found his new Miz.
The one thing they do lack, if you look around WWE though, mate, outside of maybe Roman Reigns, like who's cutting those real good promos for the WWE? Like there isn't anyone who really stands out. I suppose there's a couple of females who can do some good promos, like Becky as well. She was awesome promo. What did you think of the women's match on TakeOver? Io Shirai, Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez, with Io Shirai ultimately picking up the victory again to retain her title.
It was short.
It was. Were you surprised by that?
No, Triple H said they had a 20-minute window. They just ended it when they wanted to. But I think that table spot kind of took them out of it a little bit. Like I think that was something they was kind of banking on, and then it went to shit because the table went splat. But I like Wade's Barrett explanation. He was like he kind of felt it wobbling when MSK flew into it earlier. So that was a nice little excuse right there. Just unfortunate. But yeah, man.
On the fly though, mate, isn't it? Dan, like you just said, he's a worker. And you got to be quick to think of something like that when you're on the spot. Yeah,
but EO, man, like I generally can't see anybody taking the title off her right now. Like, but something I do want to see that I think could get them from now until the next takeover or WrestleMania title defense for EO. They need to bring Bayley to NXT. Bring Bayley to NXT. Yeah. Give me the EO Bayley match. Make it happen.
Yeah,
make it happen.
If they're like, it looked like they were going to be doing Charlotte versus Lacey Evans, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But like, and I would have said, if it wasn't for what happened on Raw this past Monday, would have said to you, I would love to see Io Shirai be Asuka's challenger. If they take it, you don't even have to take the title off Io Shirai before you do it. You could have her go in as the NXT champion and say she wants to challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship, but it doesn't look like that's going to be possible, because I would imagine if Lacey Evans is out of WrestleMania, they're going to go back to Charlotte versus Asuka, which we're all excited to see Charlotte beat Asuka again. What did you make of the Lacey Evans stuff on Monday?
It happened.
Well, tell us about it for anyone who hasn't seen Raw as well.
Oh, it happened. As far as your question, Lacey, she announced that she was pregnant, and
that's not a shoot. Apparently, is it? She is pregnant. Is that right?
There have been reports, and I think some are accurate. But I like when it comes to stuff like that, I wait on the actual person to confirm it. She's tweeted about it, but she hasn't put out anything, something that official. You can something of super official. Like it's some stuff with reports that some things along those lines that I'll believe and I'll write up, but when it comes to stuff like pregnancies or if somebody has something along those lines, I don't write about it. I just leave it as the storyline purpose until she comes out and actually confirms it. But I guess we can just speak about it as if it was true or in the storyline sense. So I mean, but if she is, I mean, I definitely think they was gonna have her beat Asuka for the title at Elimination Chamber. And then it was gonna be Charlotte versus Lacey at Fastlane, and then Charlotte was gonna go into Mania as champion. I definitely think that was gonna be the way WWE gonna go.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they're gonna go now. And Oscar's supposed to be defending their title on Sunday, and they haven't canceled the match. So maybe it's a work, or maybe it's not.
Yeah, and I suppose that does add like a little bit of like mystery to it, doesn't it? Is that yes, she announced on Raw that she was pregnant, but the reports, I believe, came out before Raw that she was pregnant, and some people were saying that it's, you know, reporting that she was really pregnant. So if she is really pregnant, like obviously it's not Ric Flair's. So do you have a problem with them using a real life pregnancy in the storyline to write her out of wrestling?
They've done worse shit. So
yeah, it's not the worst thing they've done, is it? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like if she's okay with it and her husband's okay with it, then who gives a shit? Like if they're okay with it.
Obviously, they wouldn't be doing this if she didn't okay it.
Yeah.
Like, but a little bit like earlier, they've done worse shit, far worse shit.
Yeah, they'll probably do worse shit this week, and we're not even going to talk about that absolute bell end of a referee which they've got. I can't even start on that shit, mate, because I will lose my mind how that man still has a job. But we'll talk about that one off the air, because I don't want to give him any airtime. Interesting little segment with my favourite Alexa Bliss this week, mate, on Raw. Do you think we might be seeing a certain Mr. Bray Wyatt returning soon?
Yeah. They need to bring him back with Bo Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, I said the other day, so they brought Braun Strowman back, didn't they, for the Rumble? He turned up on SmackDown, I think it was. Then he was obviously in the Rumble, and then he disappeared again.
He had a blood infection, bro.
Was it?
He had a blood infection.
Okay. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I take it he's good now, because he's obviously he was back on Monday, wasn't he?
Yeah, he said he was okay. He like took a bunch of IVs and stuff like that, and he said he lost 15 pounds in like 5 days, and it
Jesus.
Yeah, it was bad. And he said he said like an infection got into his bloodstream, so that's why he was off. Like he was off TV, and yeah, he said he like a whole bunch of like water weight went to his joints.
Well, and I was going to say, mate, what would have been an incredible, because obviously at some point the Fiend is going to come back and is going to be more aggressive and more angrier than ever and attack Randy Orton. And I was saying to my friend yesterday, what would have been awesome is if Randy Orton is kind of, the lights go out, whatever, and when the lights go back on, you've got Alexa Bliss stood in front of him, and then circled around him would be the Fiend, Bo Dallas, Braun Strowman, and Eric Rowan, all with new kind of masks and looking creepy and scary as hell. And you'd have like these monsters surrounding him, and it would give the Fiend a bit of a new, fresh feel. But I don't want to see Braun Strowman go back to being in a stable. So I think what we're more likely to see is when Randy Orton's pod is supposed to open, it won't open. Then a few minutes later or whatever, the Fiend's lights will come on, the lights will go off, and when they come back on, the Fiend will be stood behind him in his pod.
I feel like the reason that he's away so long is because Tom Savini making him a new mask. Yes,
I believe so, mate. And I think who was it who reported it? Someone. I apologise to whoever it is. Anyway, someone reported someone who I respect that they wouldn't write horse shit. They said
it's me, Austin.
Yeah, it's me, Austin. It was me all along. Basically said that when he comes back, the Fiend is supposed to be like angrier and more aggressive, and like really the new mask is going to be incredibly creepy. And like when you think about the reaction to if you remember when he first came out with like the lantern and the mask, like people were genuinely kind of a bit creeped out by that. So I'm really excited to see what they bring, if they're going to make it more creepy. Do you think they should change the lantern somehow? Maybe to Funhouse Bray, because the other part of this thing was that so the Fiend would be more angry and aggressive and a new look, but also Funhouse Bray would be different. He'd all be dressed in all white, and he'd basically be like pure, and the fire which Randy Orton lit would have purified him, and he'd be like this very like a super baby face, the normal version of Bray instead of Funhouse Bray. And I was like, you could do some interesting stuff with that, but be interesting, mate. Sorry, I interrupted you then.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I get excited, mate, when I'm talking about the big man.
But yeah,
you know
I think they're gonna do a half mask, like half mask, half face. I think they're gonna do something different.
Okay.
Like Tom Savini is like one of the greatest. Like
genius.
He is crazy. I just want to know how people like find out they can do shit like that. Like at what point in your life did you just realize that you can do something like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? That shit is so
it's
weird.
To do with sculptures and stuff, and
right?
Yeah, it's just incredible, mate. Do you know?
Yeah, I think they're gonna do something along those lines. It'll be cool. Like, I think it's good for them to like keep refreshing. Like, you don't want to keep saying the same shit. Like, give them new gear, give them like a new costume design, give them a new mask, give them like don't bring the same mask. Like, make it a different color, or like cut half the face off, and like, or make it like discolored a little bit. Like, make it seem like he like riding or some shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like add like burn marks onto like his like the costume and shit like that. Like at first I thought that tattoo he had on his chest was a paint. Now that's a real tattoo. I didn't know that. Like that little devil tattoo. That shit is crazy. But yeah,
I think we'll see that sort of a darker side of Alexa. Maybe is a mask as well when the Fiend comes back. I think whenever the Fiend comes out, I believe that Alexa will be there too in her whatever she's gonna wear. Whether it's she seems to like when she's been doing that transformation gimmick. She's been almost dressing like the Abby the Witch puppet with like a black dress and the contact lens. So I don't know if that's just going to be like her dark persona, which would be with the Fiend, or whether they're building up to giving her like a proper Fiend mask and all that sort of stuff. But it could be really cool. They could do some cool stuff. Just very quickly, when they do the Randy Orton match, I assume it's going to be at WrestleMania. I've got two questions for you. Number one. Part of Bray Wyatt's stick on the Funhouse and stuff is like about life.
About to say Bray Rowan.
Yeah, it's like part of his stick is that life is a circle and everything comes back around. And you know you've seen that in the people he's feuded with. Would it not make, if you look at it just from a logic point of view and the way they've written this long-term storyline, and Bray Wyatt's very good at that, would it not make sense for Randy Orton to win the title in the Elimination Chamber? And then Bray Wyatt to win it off him at WrestleMania. I don't want that to happen, but when you look at it in terms of trying to make everything marry up and add up, it does have a certain logic and symmetry to it, does it not? Because obviously that's what happened to Bray Wyatt. He won the title in the Elimination Chamber, and then he lost it when Randy Orton turned on him.
Boo.
I don't think they... don't get me wrong, I don't think they should do that. So I don't want the Fiends to be in a title match again. But I can see them doing it because of that reason, if that makes sense. And the second question I had for you was, when they do the match, should the Fiend squash Randy Orton in like 2 minutes? Really dominant, aggressive, brutal, nasty looking, you know, the neck snaps and this and that and the other. Or should they give him like 8 minutes of the Fiend like smashing him, really aggressive, really like nasty looking spots, giving him his comeuppance with, you know, Randy Orton getting the odd sort of hope spot, if you like, but it's not hope spot. Like he'll try and do heelish tactics, whether it's like a low blows and just to kind of break it up a bit. What way would you go with it? Would you do a real quick squash, or would you give him like 8 minutes or so and have the Fiend look dominant that way?
If you bringing them back ready for this, you gotta squash them. I mean, it just, I mean, you gotta go out of the way, because I mean, if you're gonna do it at WrestleMania, then I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how people react to the Fiend character a whole 2 years or so since they've seen him. So it's gonna be interesting.
Sorry, mate, I interrupted you again. If you go on social media, like on YouTube and places, like the Fiend is it's Bray Wyatt is so popular. And like, if you just look at social media, I think, why the heck? Like, if you just read social media, you'd think, well, surely this guy is like a multi-time champion with loads of different, epic stories and stuff. Like, they've treated him so badly from a booking point of view, yet he's still managed to keep his head afloat and still managed to keep relevant and changing his gimmick and coming up with these ideas. Like, what would he do if he went somewhere like AEW or New Japan? Like, how creative he could be, and with proper, with decent booking. This is where it is, mate. AJ Styles, where do you think he's going for WrestleMania, my friend?
AJ, I can't really call it right now, bro. Like,
it's difficult, isn't it?
I don't know what they do with him for Mania. Like, I'm pretty sure you find him, something.
He's got to. On two nights. He's arguably your best wrestler. He's still very over. Like, you have to find something for him, don't you? You have to find him at that big match. Could he potentially, if they was to go with Roman versus Edge, could you perhaps do AJ versus Drew? Would that be acceptable to you? I'd rather see that than Drew versus Sheamus. I got to be honest, even though I've enjoyed Sheamus' work of late.
Yeah, I think you just need somebody for Drew to face at Fastlane, because I don't think he's losing the title at Elimination Chamber. So I think you just need somebody for him to. I mean, but he already will have beaten AJ twice.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? They burn through these matches so quickly. Okay, just before we do wrap up, mate, I did want to get your view on AEW last week. Obviously, we had Kenta in the main event. What did you make of that, my friend?
The door is open. The forbidden door has been kicked open. Kenta has arrived. Man, but I'm excited to see the match with him and Mox on the 26th for the IWGP US Heavyweight title. I got a prediction. I don't think Kenta is winning. I think Mox is going to retain. And then I think Mox is going to get confronted by Kazuchika Okada. And that is going to be the way to get Okada into AEW. It's through Mox. People think it's going to be through Kenny. I think it's going to be through Mox.
So I saw something earlier. I'm trying to find it now, and I can't find it. It must have been on Twitter.
What about Okada coming to the States?
Yeah, he's going to be in, going to do some work with Impact and also with AEW. Be interesting which direction they go with Okada. Like you say, everyone's expecting
be Kenny.
Maybe to be Kenny, but I think
it's gonna be Mox, bro. I think gonna do it. What better way to do it than your own program in New Japan Strong?
Yeah, and that's the way to do it, isn't it? That's how you do it. Because especially if one of their concerns is of how the other companies are going to book him,
right.
Have him be. If you're in control of how he makes that initial transition into the other company, that's how you do it.
Like, why wouldn't you put your company first? Like, if I was running New Japan and I was like, Okada's coming to the States was the first place I wanted to be on my fucking show.
Yeah.
My show. Like, why? Like, of course you want them on AEW. Like, that's all good publicity, but that's mainly gonna be publicity for AEW. You want that for your own program. Like, I want the initial headlines on Friday night to be Kazuchika Okada appears on NJPW Strong, confronts John Moxley, and then you can have Moxley going Dynamite, call out Okada for what happened, and then that's gonna bring more buzz to people who maybe didn't see it. I'm gonna be like, let me go watch NJPW Strong to see what's gonna happen next, bro. New Japan gotta think about that shit. Like, don't like, I'm not saying I hate using this word, but don't get like bullied into a corner to where you think that you got this first appearance has to be for another company. Like, it should be your company first. Like, this is your like Okada not just no fucking rinky dink like mid card, like, let's just send him here, bro. This is like literally the biggest star that you have. Like,
yes,
like, it's literally,
yes, mate. So that you said that perfectly. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's, look, there's some matches with Okada I want to see. I really do. But the New Japan have got to make sure
they're taken care of.
Yeah, God, yeah. Because you can see, like, look, the way Impact treated Okada, I know it was a long time ago, was Disgraceful, mate.
I mean,
It wasn't even good.
I know you're probably about to say it, but like they didn't know what the fuck he was going to become. Like obviously,
But still, he was still better than what they gave him. Is the thing. Just a couple of questions. I know you do a podcast, which we'll plug in just a second on about Impact. What do you think of Brian Mike?
I would say real quick on the NJPW front. Just a little speculation out there for people who are listening. Suzuki Gun is not booked on this whole Road to Castle Attack show. So Minoru Suzuki, El Desperado, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, none of those guys are on the current New Japan show. And guess who's a member of Suzuki Gun? Lance Archer. He was with them for 4 or 5 years. So, hey, could Suzuki
Don't
be coming
tease me, brother?
Could Suzuki be coming to get back with his brethren? You never know, man. Like they aren't booked for this Road to Castle Attack tour at all.
That fills me with happiness, mate, because the thought of one, like you could have like Eddie Kingston and his crew beating down on Lance Archer, and then Suzuki Gun make the save,
and then Suzuki got unfinished business with Mox.
Yeah, they got unfinished business with Moxley. You could do Dark Order versus Suzuki Gun. You could do Suzuki Gun turn on Lance Archer because
he left.
Yeah, there's so many options. Yeah. Unbelievable stuff, mate. So yeah, you do a podcast. Is it a post show on Impact Wrestling?
Yeah.
First of all, tell the people where they can find that and where it is and what it is.
It's on the post wrestling site. It's called Deep Impact. I do it with Davey Portman, who is also a fellow member of the Post Wrestling Network. So yeah, man, go check that out. I really enjoy it. It's always a good time doing that. Always some good laughs. Even though Impact damn near put me to sleep last night, but you know, it happens.
What do you make of how they're using Brian Myers and Matt Cardona?
You know, I really wasn't a fan of it. Like it was kind of like corny because they're like best friends. And like we see them do like a podcast like the day after Impact, and they're all buddy and shit. But I like last night how they addressed it. Cardona was like, "Dude, everybody in this world knows we're best friends. Like, why the hell are you acting so weird?" I was like,
good.
"Bravo, Impact! Finally, there you go."
You know, if you had your camera on, people would be able to see you clapping. Just saying. And lastly, I wanted to ask you 2 questions. Were you surprised? I was surprised to see Moose back in Impact Wrestling. I really thought he might be done. Is that just because I'm uninformed?
Oh, I didn't know he was leaving. No, Moose is like
he's in a multi-year deal, is he?
No, he's just in a good spot. Like he's in a really good spot. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. I think they're gonna take the title off Rich Swann. Rich Swann wasn't on the show last night. And he just had a world title victory, so maybe we'll see Rich Swann on Dynamite.
Yeah, I could see that. Also, what do you think? Last question: What do you think of Matt Hardy's heel character, Big Money Matt? Seems like he's manipulating the I've forgotten the bloody name.
Private Party.
Private Party, and also he made a play for Adam Page. I feel like they're going to use. He's going to screw over Adam Page. The Dark Order's going to make the save, and that is how Adam Page will end up going with the Dark Order. But I really like Matt Hardy's heel stuff at the moment. Were you surprised they didn't put the titles on Private Party in Impact?
Nah, I mean I don't think they should have. To be honest with you, because I mean like it was just I feel like it would have kind of dragged a little bit, and then it would just only been eventually for them to just lose it quickly. I think. Like I think they need to just keep running with the Good Brothers, and I feel like there's bigger plans in store for the Good Brothers. I think they're gonna end up facing the Young Bucks at some point. I think that match is happening somewhere down the line. So, and I think they're trying to hold that off until they actually get like fans back in arenas.
Yeah, for sure. And let me tell you something. The Good Brothers are doing some real good promos and work at the moment. Like they're everywhere. Their stuff on AEW it's been good. Their stuff on Impact's been good. Their stuff on Being the Elite has been good, even though Being the Elite has evolved into something different to what it was back in the day. And I used to love it back in the day. I used to think it was so good and so creative. Like, I don't enjoy it as much as I used to, but it is still good. And what it does do is it fills in a lot of gaps in, or not gaps, it it gives a background to some of their stories, like the Matt Hardy stuff, the Dark Order stuff, and it does give some of those guys a platform to show different aspects of their characters. And of course, mate, I know we've got to finish, but Sammy Guevara left the Inner Circle. We almost forgot about that.
Yeah, man. Sammy is out.
And it's the little subtleties, mate, with Sammy Guevara, which I really enjoy. Came out the heel tunnel, quit the Inner Circle, went
to the
back down
tunnel.
the face tunnel. I loved that shit, mate. That was so good. Right, Andrew, tell the people where they can find all the amazing podcasts that you do and which ones you do, and of course your YouTube channel, which people should subscribe to. I believe you had Shane Taylor on again this week. Fantastic interview always. I think the one you did previously with him was fantastic, so I'm expecting this one to be a good one too.
Yeah, they can go check it out. Everything at the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel, and they can follow me on Twitter at ADThompson__.
Do it, people. He's a good man doing great work. Check out Andrew's post-impact podcast. Check out his British wrestling podcast. Check out his podcast with me called Keepin It Real. There's at least 50 episodes going back, talking all sorts of stories and wrestling. And of course, subscribe to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Andrew Thompson Interviews, which is scrolling along the bottom of the screen below. And if you go to the description of this episode, you'll also find a link to his podcast, which you can click, press the subscribe, click the bell, get notifications every time he uploads one of his incredible interviews. As I said at the start of the show, we do all sorts of podcasts. If you like football, we do a live show Monday and Friday. Just this past Monday, we had former Trinidad and Tobago international ex-Premier League striker Kenwyne Jones, and boy oh boy did he have some stuff to say. Very honest, humble, great guy, great interview, really laid back. From the Caribbean he contacted us, and he was just loving it, loving life, loving the hot sun in the Caribbean as he chilled and we were cold in Cardiff in the rain. But yeah, he was a cool dude, and he had some great stuff, some really interesting stuff to say. Do an MMA and boxing podcast every Wednesday with Danny Batten. We've had several UFC stars in the last couple of weeks on. We had women's strawweight Corey McKenna on. We had Arnold Allen, who's number 9 ranked featherweight in the world. And we've got a couple of Cage Warriors champions and all sorts of stuff. Got podcasts and interviews galore. Get involved, subscribe, youtube.com/Ace Podcast Nation. But most of all, it's subscribe to Andrew's stuff. Andrew, as always, it's a pleasure, mate. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort. And most of all, I appreciate you, sir.
Peace out, my good brother.
Take it easy.
All in my business, you be all in your feelings. I've been all in them trenches.